Good evening and welcome to Face to Face. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Niresh Eliadambi. Well, today we had the much anticipated announcement that Cabinet has authorized the local government election nominations, which we had over a year and a half ago, to be cancelled, and fresh nominations should be called, which means that we will within a few months have the local government elections, which in my opinion at least is one of the most important aspects of our democracy. And to discuss this and the entire democratic process around these local government elections, we have with us Mr. Manjula Gajanayake, no stranger to our programs. He is, of course, the Executive Director of IRES, which stands for the Institute for Democratic Reforms and Electoral Studies. Welcome back, Manjula.
Thanks for having me in this show.
Yet another election, which of course we at Newsfirst have been calling for this election for several years, because it was scheduled in 2023, in March 2023, and then it was very unceremoniously dumped. It was not even officially postponed. It was simply forgotten.
Yeah.
And the government of the day was later sanctioned by the Supreme Court, and so was the Election Commission. And finally, the Supreme Court has ordered that it be held, and here we are. The process has now begun. So will you take us through the history of this? First of all, the local government elections.
Yeah.
We have the municipal councils, we have the urban councils, and we have the Pradeshia Sabhas, which pretty much govern your local neighborhood, your city, your town, your village. So tell us, how many of these are there and what's the level of importance?
Thanks. So, I mean, we have a long history of local government than any other legislative bodies in Sri Lanka. As an example, when we are passing town hall of Colombo, actually it had built in 1865. When considering Asian context, actually it is the second municipal council created in Sri Lanka. I mean, when it comes to in the earlier times also, that that local government always had a wonderful, beautiful history. However, then when it comes to the modern this time period after the Indu-Lanka Pact, that the signing of Indu-Lanka Agreement, that Sri Lanka introduced 13th Amendment. Under the 13th Amendment, all the local councils, local government authorities are coming under provincial councils. But unfortunately, that it is something like fascinating, because at the moment we have conducted only both national elections, parliamentary and presidential, but unfortunately both provincial and local government election have been, the best word to describe this is disappeared. That is the best word to describe this. Anyway, that that there is a court case, Supreme Court judgment delivered in 2016, the same scenario actually, because at that time also Supreme Court elaborated that the conducting election is a prime duty of the government, state.
Which of course is a given.
Yes.
I mean, everyone knows this, but the governments seem to conveniently or inconveniently forget their duty.
Definitely. The reason is that that most of government are thinking, that regimes are thinking that if they are not popular, actually they can postpone the election. Even there's a vague provision also, there's an avenue to do that, because usually the local government time period is term limit is only 4 years. For provincial councils it is 5 years, like parliamentary elections. Then that though it is the time limit is 4 years, that in this 262 local government ordinance has given a chance to the line minister to extend 1 year of all the local government bodies if they wish, but giving reasonable background. Unfortunately, this same thing happened in 2018, this time also after 2018, because the last local government election conducted 10th of February 2018. Technically and according to the law, this election should be conducted in the 2022. But unfortunately, that minister got powers that according to the 262 ordinance, then he extended from 1 year for the 340 local government election bodies. But unfortunately, though the law described clearly that if minister is doing something like that, actually he has to elaborate why he is doing like that. But unfortunately, it is just a one-page gazette notification and he extended the term limit.
So he's not supposed to simply extend the term by 1 year just because his party looks like it's going to lose.
Yes, definitely. Then after that, the real chance had election commission to conduct this election after that 9th March 2023, because even after end of 2022 had a chance to election commission to conduct this election, but unfortunately that election commission that it is two pace. I mean, firstly, actually they were a bit hesitating to conduct the election because the objective of the executive president and at that time actually Wickremesinghe government, that they didn't want to conduct the election at that time. Then election commission tried, but not seriously. They shared some letters and invited some organizations, some departments, Sri Lanka police and printers, but unfortunately they didn't take serious action. Because the reason was that as explained by the chairman at that time, he told that that the youth plus 18 plus vote was enacted, that the act also at that time. Then election commission wanted to include all those young voters into this list. Due to that ground, actually that's why they didn't conduct the election, but it was an indirect opportunity to postpone the election to the government. But unfortunately, what has happened, still that election not conducted. Finally, election commission made a date, that they announced the date 9th March 2023. But after that what happened, that ministry secretary Mr. Mahinda Siriwadana is still there, that he announced that the cabinet has given a direction not to conduct election and put money for the essential services.
But cabinet has no power whatsoever to postpone elections. Definitely. Like that.
But unfortunately, actually they took that bold actions to postpone the election. After that, we should thanks actually the PAFRL, CPA and Samagi Jana Balawege as well as current government, that NPP, actually all those four parties went before the Supreme Court. Then they delivered their judgment, as I remember, 22nd August this year. Then it was an historical judgment delivered by Supreme Court. In this, let me to quote this the important section of this specific judgment. In this judgment, actually Supreme Court observed, I do not see any bar for the election commission to obtain the cooperation of a suitable department of the government to assess such estimates. However, other than request made, I cannot find any directions given by the election commission either to any department or the secretary to the treasury. That means election commission, that according to this line, actually that paragraph, that election commission had not taken any serious actions to conduct the election. Finally, they that Supreme Court delivered their judgment in the very first observation they made their direction. Executive branch of the state represented by Honorable Attorney General is liable for infringement of the fundamental rights guaranteed under Articles 12.1 and 14.1a of the Constitution for not holding local government election 2023. This is the scenario. Let me to elaborate these 2 points also. The Election Commission is directed to schedule the local government election 2023. The important phrase is at the earliest possible with due regard to their duty to hold other election as required by law. That's why, as you announced at the beginning, NPP government took a decision prior. Actually, they have taken a cabinet decision maybe, that now they announced that that regarding that decision, actually under this guideline, at the earliest possible with due regard to their duty to hold other elections.
So the other elections were the presidential and the parliamentary.
This is definitely 2 elections.
So they are now out of the way. So this one has to be held. No one has any power to stop this. And the Supreme Court judgment is very clear. The Wickramasinghe regime, in particular then President Ranil Wickramasinghe and other officials, and also the Election Commission,
yes,
very clearly,
important part.
Yes, very clearly failed in their duty and violated the fundamental rights of every citizen of this country. Although it was 4 parties which actually filed action. So it's good news. We're going to have this election. Now let's talk about the time frame. Now let's assume that there won't be any legal issues and that the nomination list would be cancelled and fresh nominations called. What's the time frame, the amount of time given for nominations to be filed and then for campaigning and so on? When are we likely to see the actual election?
Yeah, actually there is a chaos that regarding the conducting election as well as cancellation of nomination also. As I know, as I discussed with election commission, still they like to conduct the elections based on previous nomination list, because that Supreme Court Supreme Court delivered their verdict judgment based on the previous nomination list. That's why that it is up to the parliament. That's why parliament is being taken a decision to null that cancel the nomination. Even election commission are not in a position to cancel those nomination papers. But there's a background.
Now the reason that it's important to cancel the nomination.
There are many reasons. There are many reasons, because that the first thing is election commission still like to stay with the decision, because election, as I explained, but unfortunately, the scenario has been changed drastically. The main thing is, that the even 1981 number 1 of 1981 parliamentary election act also given a chance to create coalitions, a political alliance in closer to elections. Then it is not a strange thing. It is a well familiar thing in South Asian context in electoral process. Then you may remember that closer to 2023, that the local government election, there were many of political coalitions, that there was a symbol of helicopter, that it has also crashed now almost. Anyway, there were many alliances also, but unfortunately after that, after creating such coalitions, there was another election, parliamentary election. Now they have they almost forgotten all those previous alliances, and they have created another alliances. That's why gas cylinder symbol and most of symbols came.
So to give an example, back when the nominations were called, in 2023, early 2023, we had a coalition under the symbol of the helicopter, but there was no gas cylinder. So now there is no helicopter, and there is a gas cylinder.
Even gas cylinder, I think it will cancel in IV. They will not use that gas cylinder in next time also, I guess, due to an unexpected, maybe expected defeat.
Right. So, so one reason
it is one reason.
is the coalitions are no longer in existence.
Yeah, the other basic reason is as average, I mean, as a normal citizen of this country, actually, I also support that second rationale. The thing is the voter list. That that for the local government election, actually, they were supposed to use the voter list of 2022, right? But now we almost even the last two election we have used voter list of 2024. That means in that time frame, actually, that there were maybe nearly 500,000
new voters.
Then if we are going to use that previous electoral list, what will happen? Actually, the voting rights of they will lose the voting rights of nearly 500,000 people. Then it is a problem, because
it's a violation of fundamental rights.
Yeah,
again.
Not only that, it is. I mean, now let's see. Now you may have cast your vote in last election, but in next election you don't have a chance to cast your vote. No,
a strange anomaly. Yes.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is a problem. Then that's why actually it is second rationale. The third one is now time lapse is almost 2 years. No, this time period, I mean, that some of candidates have been died, as well as some of them have migrated, and
some are in parliament now.
Some are in parliament. 42. It is important point, Mr. Niresh. That the almost 42, as I understood, actually 42 members are in parliament who were supposed to contest in local government election 2022. Even as I heard that recently conducted election in Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha, chairman of Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha also elected to the parliament in this time. That means 42. That's why, usually regarding that the coalition breakdown of break in coalition and any other thing, I don't think that NPP will listen such grievances as they have superpower in this time in the parliament. Okay, but why they are listening to this grievance? Because actually those candidates are in the parliament. They have to nominate new people. Another reason also
sounds very logical. Yes.
Yeah. Another one is that, let's say now, as a party SLPP, okay, SLPP, now there were many candidates given nomination, but they have crossed over. Now supporting to New Democratic Front and other political parties during parliamentary election as last time, no? Then how they are contesting? Then that's a problem. Then it is just like now, I mean, fruit salad, no? that everything has mixed up.
That's putting it mildly. Yes. So there are candidates, one doesn't know where they are, which party, SLPP, SLFP, which actually didn't run in the last election. And then you have SJB, you have the UNP, the gas cylinder, and then even among the minority parties, there are issues.
And those are practical issues. But another issue also there, that if you are contesting for a vote, if you are receiving votes, actually you can easily go to the council. But there's another list that we call that additional list. Additional list, actually, that all powers vested with the political party secretary. Right? Secretary is the person who can nominate people for the additional list, from the additional list. Then if you have already crossed over, then secretary can easily nominate his supporter to the list. Then there's a rationale also. Then that's why we definitely considering those practical issues, actually it would be better using cancellation nomination list as well as use new nomination list. But before that, they have to do what you ask, actually, that regarding the parliament, that if they are if they are going to cancel nomination as mentioned today, that election commission is not in a position to do that, then they have to submit a motion, table a motion, new motion to the parliament. Then it will discuss among political party leaders first, then they will decide when they are going to discuss this matter in the parliament. It will take maybe 1 or 2 weeks time. After that, they have to start first reading. Actually, they will read the title of the act. After that, according to the 21st amendment, not 1 week, actually citizens have 2 weeks time to go to Supreme Court, challenge if they have if they seen some anything different in this act, no, then it will take another 2 weeks time.
And I'm sure we will, as usual, have several challenges in court.
Definitely, even the
some of which will border on the ridiculous,
Yes.
and the court is likely to be rather annoyed.
Thanks for reminding that. Even
yes.
last time we saw that someone challenged the election date of parliamentary election also, no?
Yeah.
Then after 2 weeks time, actually they will start the they will second reading and third reading. After that, I guess that it will take almost 1 month time to pass this act, no, motion. Then after that, what they can do, actually they have to inform to the election commission. Election commission will take another maybe more than 2 weeks time, nearly 1 month time to preparation for homework. That means it will take almost 2 weeks, 2 months time. That means the practical scenario is that according to the 262 ordinance, that after the poll notice, if after issuing the poll notice, it will take another 2 weeks time to receive nomination. In between, for the date of 14th and 17th, before 12 noon of 17th, actually they have to submit political party and independent, if their independent groups have to submit their nomination papers. After that, another 1 month time. That means technically it will take 3 months time to conduct the election. As an election observer, my reading is that it will be end of March or beginning of April.
So end of March or beginning of April,
yeah,
we're likely to have conduct the election. Right. Now, the importance of these elections, I think we need to focus on. But before that, I think we are due for a short commercial break. We are in conversation with Manjula Gajanayake, Executive Director of IRES. Don't go away, we'll be right back after this break. Welcome back to Face to Face. We're in conversation with Manjula Gajanayake, Executive Director of IRES. Now, Manjula, we're discussing the local government elections, which there was a key announcement today from the cabinet that they are starting the process. Now, let's talk about the importance of local government bodies. And as we were discussing earlier, there are a large number of local government bodies. Correct me if I'm wrong, 29 municipal councils.
Yes.
So that's a huge number.
Yeah.
Most people think it's just Colombo, Kandy, Gampaha, just a few, but there are 29.
29.
So everything
except 2 districts, all the districts have at least one MC.
Right, and several districts have multiple MCs, municipal councils. Right, and then you have 36 urban councils, as well, and then as far as Pradeshya Sabhas, you have 276 of them.
Yes.
So this is the true essence of democracy, isn't it? Because the people who are elected to those bodies, they're not somebody, on the other side of the district that you may never have met and you can't really approach. They are people within your community, in your town, in your village. You've gone to school with them. They may be related to you. They may be your neighbors. So, in each of these councils, you get sometimes about 20 council members. So, your you're guaranteed to have 1 or 2 council members in your own neighborhood.
Yes.
Right? So if you've got a problem, you want something sorted out, or you have something to say, you simply call that guy up and tell him.
Easy to connect.
It's very easy. Or just go up to his front door, bang on his gate, and talk to him, him or her, of course. So this, I mean, if it's a problem with street lighting, drainage, something with the paddy fields, the local schools, whatever, there's somebody that you can directly talk to.
Definitely.
Now, this is an ancient system, isn't it? Because we had the Gam Sabha system earlier, the village councils, which then sort of changed into these local government bodies. So we've got a very long history.
Started with the King
hundreds of
Pandukabeya time, no?
Yes. So we've had this democratic tradition a long time, long before the Western so-called colonial powers came to Sri Lanka.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. So this is the importance of it. And we haven't had a local government election since February of 2018. A subversion of democracy.
Yeah.
So now there is one issue, that of the Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha, and most people may not understand what happened. We had that Pradeshya Sabha election, just that one, in October. Could you explain how that happened?
Actually, that the local government election supposed to conduct for all 341 local government authorities in that time, actually 2018. But you know, always that the political parties and independent groups have a chance to go to court if there's a problem. That at that time also 2018, when it comes to Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha, one of political party submitted election petition before the Supreme Court, because actually
in 2018
at that time, that before conducting the election nomination time period, actually their nomination papers had rejected by Election Commission at that time, returning officer of Gaul. Then challenging that decision, actually, that the one of political parties went before the court. Then the court actually, they took almost 1 year to deliver their decision. After that, they delivered the decision to conduct the election again, because that the election, they informed that Election Commission that that particular political party can contest to the election. That was the history of that at that time.
So that was 2018, 2019.
Yeah. Then, well before the presidential election, there was a controversy that you know, that the always election creating trends, you know. Then Mr. Mahinda Deshapriya at that time chairman of election, then they decided to conduct the election 11th October 2019. You may remember that, as I remember that the November, no, that October, November, November 17 or 16, that conduct the presidential election. Then only 1 month time lapse. Then most of civil society organization, election monitoring bodies, and they inform that to the Election Commission that not to conduct before the presidential election, it will create a trend. But there was in the very first time I heard that there was a vote inside the Election Commission. At that time, you know, there were only 3 members, Mr. Nalin Abesekara, Professor Ratnajeevan Hull, and Mr. Mahinda Deshapriya. At that time, actually, there was a voting. Then under the 2/3 majority, 2/3 decisions, they decided to conduct the election at that time. That's why they conduct the election on 11th October 2019. Then that the time, considering the time frame due to postpone these election for all 340 local government election, that time came before this time. That's why actually we had a chance to see the election going on, that the Alpitiya Pradeshya Sabha on as I remember, 26th last October, no? 26th October.
So it was the delayed election for the Alpitiya Pradeshi Sabha, which was held. But now, of course, that election has been held, so it won't need to be held next year in March or April. Because that will have a 4-year term. Right. So instead of 341 local government bodies, we will have 340 going to the polls next March or April, presumably. So the citizens of Alpitiya are not going to get a chance to exercise their franchise again, because they got their chance just
earlier,
about 6 weeks ago.
And also during very shorter time period, actually, we have conducted 3 elections, no, presidential, parliamentary, as well as Alpitiya Pradesh Sabha. That's why, Mr. Niresh, you may remember that the one time they applied ink on little finger, after that thumb. Now this time parliamentary election, they applied ink on middle finger.
Yes, in fact, I've still got one of my fingers still. Yes, that's the parliamentary one. The other one's gone, the presidential one. Yes, and of course I did not vote in the Alpitiya election, but presumably all the ink would have gone by the time
before Sinhala Tamil New Year.
Yes, the elections come in March or April. Right. So let's once again focus on how these councils operate, how they're supposed to operate, and how they have been operating after the councils themselves, the elected members, had to step away because their term was 4 years. So generally, it's a democratic council. You have your party, which is in the majority, and then you have the opposition parties. And as with any democratic institution, you have budgets being passed and various motions and so on. So it's very important and it's very democratic. And of course, the local council controls the everyday life of, trade. They issue licenses to shops and companies and so on.
If they are not clearing the surroundings, actually you can't work, no? Then that's
garbage and so on.
Disposal.
Yes. So what happened after the 4 years lapsed? Because the members of these councils were no longer members after 4 years. What happened after 2018 to 2022 and then 2023? After that, what happened?
It is something very important to talk, because you know that why these councils have established. Under the 13th Amendment, establish all these councils. That mean these councils should comprise with people's representatives. But after that, what has happened actually, that that government officials are controlling all those democratic institutions.
So the people's representatives are no longer in the councils, but the
public officials are the people
are still there.
Who are controlling. But you know that that when it comes to the not controlling, actually the governing body, as a governing body, you need public representatives. They are the people who can listen to the people, as you mentioned earlier, correctly. Actually, all those stuff actually they can do. But unfortunately, what public servants can do, that day to day functionings only. They can't make decisions. When it comes to local councils, you know that there's the most important thing is when it comes to parliament, they can pass acts. In provincial councils, they can pass statutes. When it comes to local government authorities, they should pass bylaws. Without any bylaw, even you can't function in, you can't operate even a saloon, right? For each and every duty, you need to do, tax. Even you need to take the facilities from the local councils. then to complete everything actually you need to pass something like bylaws. To pass bylaws you need public representatives in that councils. But what is happening now? Now it is, that is first thing. The second thing is, before this government, before the parliamentary election, we discussed even earlier, now you know that it is indirectly strengthening only the executive president, because if there is no public representatives, then that it is coming under the assistant commissioner of local governments. Again, local government commissioner, he is responsible for all the provincial areas. After that, he is responsible for the governor. Who is appointing governor?
The president.
Executive president. There was an era, you know, that era mean actually 2 years ago, 1 year ago, you saw that they are only the parliament actually, that they had a parliament. After that, no provincial councils, no local government, then everything controlling by the executive president. Then it is totally undemocratic in this country. That's why we need public representatives in these councils. Then technically in this election actually, that's last time that when it comes to nomination, they have submitted, the election commission had received nearly 8,000 nearly 75, more than 75,000 nominations. Technically, that according to the law, local government will elect more than 8,700 councillors.
So,
for the entire
8,700 councillors in these 341
local
institutions.
And
there was something like 75,000 candidates.
Yeah, more than that. I guess that I assume that in this time actually more than that nomination will receive to the election commission. Therefore, it is so important to having elections, because at least now, as you mentioned correctly, you know that this time also, if you can, not this parliament, last parliament we saw there were many ministers, right? Those ministers started their career, political career, with the chance of 40% youth quota, with guaranteed by the recommended under the Professor Lakshman Jayatilaka's recommendations, actual report appointed by late President Ranasinghe Premadasa. Okay, then they came into the parliament after starting their career using youth quota. Another aspect also there, this election is so important. Why? This is the very first election that we are using mixed member proportional system for the parliament, for the local councils. It is the only election, because that in 2017, that at that time actually that Yahapalana government proposed MMP system for provincial council, but it is on the fence, still uncertain which election system that we are going to use. Therefore, we are using MMP system for this. That means you have ensured 25 quota for women representatives. That's why even this parliament, we know that it is different thing, that the victory of NPP and something. But when it comes to the women representation, last time we saw 1,926 women councillors in those 341 local councils. It's a big giant step.
So 25% of the seats in the councils are guaranteed for women.
Yes, definitely, but unfortunately that due to the considering technical and practical challenge, actually that ensured only 23.8 women quota. But it also, I mean, that it is a giant step taken by political leaders and everyone, no, because that women had a chance.
Well, it's also a far cry from the less than 10% that we have in parliament even now. I mean, the last parliament had only about 5%. Yeah. This parliament has just under 10%.
10%.
We have, I think, 22 out of the 225. So where women's representation is concerned, definitely the local councils are a huge step forward, and especially this coming election, as you pointed out.
Another thing is community participation. No, that mean when you are representing community, you should have a chance to represent nearest council. Then maybe environmentalist, maybe the professional, academia. Then representing various sectors, you should have a chance. Then that's why the importance of this local government election. Then unfortunately, this judgment is not saying that that those responsible person, that though they have nominated, actually they should compensate for this thing. But unfortunately, at least we should appreciate that to the Supreme Court first and the cabinet decision. At least now we are heading to conduct this important election.
Now, you spoke of community participation. So, in these 340 council elections that we will see, we'll obviously have the main national parties. You'll have the NPP, you'll have the SJB,
SLPP,
you'll have ITAC, SLMC, all of those, and of course you'll see all kinds of coalitions. But what about smaller parties? Now we saw in the parliamentary election where there were new parties, some parties which came and contested only in one district or 2 districts or 10 districts. With the local government elections, what is the situation? Could a party only contest in a certain area?
As I remember last time that considering nomination, there were nearly 43 political parties have submitted their nomination papers. That, as you mentioned correctly, that they have a chance to contest not for votes. You know that under the new election laws that there will be votes in particular local government area, local government body. Then when it comes to contesting elections, that you can contest only for that particular local government area, local government authority. When let's say now Colombo Municipal Council, as I remember that there will be 110 members, 110 members as well as, but that can be changed due to the overhang seats and other stuff. Then minimum 110. Then you can contest only for that particular local government area. That's why that it is important that you no need to spend more money when it comes to that the deposit. Also you have to secure 20% of votes to secure your deposit. Then you have to deposit 1,500 rupees per candidate contesting under political party, while 5,000 rupees for independent candidates. Then you can easily contest for particular area, no, that local government body. That's why it is another way to create increase community participation in politics.
So it's not a huge cost. You don't have to, you know, the what one would call the application fee or the nomination fee is fairly small, and also you don't need to go on nationwide political campaigns. You don't need that grassroots organizing all over the country. It can simply be in your town, your city, your village area that you contest.
Yeah, you can manage your you can manage your race, your election actually using house to house campaign, no, without spending more money. Even there's another bill on campaign finance regulations. Then you can use such strategies, no, that the campaign house to house campaign, as well as addressing people. Then, as you mentioned correctly, actually no need to spend more money, as well as it is very easy to limit your campaign into your own area.
Now, Manjula, I presume that the usual election laws do apply, in the sense the laws on posters, for example. 20 years ago, the whole country would be plastered with posters. But over the last few elections, the Election Commission has cracked down on this. So last 2 elections, we saw hardly any posters of any candidates. So I presume the same applies for the next election, the local government?
Definitely. Usually the scenario is that as an election observer, I know that the people are not investing more money like national elections, but there may be some people, some particular candidate, if you are contesting for mayorship for the chairmanship, then you will spend more money. But usually political parties are not spending money, much money, then it is a very easy contest. And also less election violence. But when it comes to parliamentary election, luckily, as you mentioned, actually we didn't see any violations of election law as well as election violence. When it comes to local government election, yes, maybe we can't expect such. We can, I mean, I would expect that this peaceful environment will extend into that other elections also. There's a vibe, no, that policy, Sri Lanka Police and Election Commission knows how to tackle these things now. Now it is just like a custom that involving with election violence, it is something not good now. No, earlier it is a heroic activity. Now it is something rejected.
I wouldn't say heroic, but it was certainly something that a lot of people got involved in, election violence.
Yes.
The bravado, the machoism, but no longer.
Yeah.
And hopefully this
and misusing,
continues to stand.
yeah, it is a good point that when you are mentioning that that luxurious vehicles, that even that misusing of public property,
Yeah.
as an, I mean, this government is, as we know, but we don't know what will happen in future, but at the current moment actually we can't expect that they will misuse public property, no. Then as you mentioned, that vehicles and other stuff, even public institution, premises of public institutions, then in that way also reducing misusing public property, it is something good, positive for conducting elections in Sri Lanka.
Right, and finally, we're almost out of time, Manjula. Tell us about how your organization and the other election monitoring organizations that you do work with as a sort of a observer coalition.
Yeah.
How will you all work in this particular local government election?
Yeah, thanks. You know that the first thing is that much more elections. No, now we have spent more money. Even we are using human resources much now. Let me to say, like, we are fed up now. No, that but definitely we need elections. We accept that we need election, but due to the bad actions taken by previous or former rulers, we had to face these elections. That is the first thing. The second thing is, as you mentioned, but though it is continuous election, we can't give up this, because this is upgrading, upholding democratic values in this country. That's why we should getting involved with this. Then all the election monitoring bodies, IRES as well as PAFREL and other organizations are involved in this. It is two part, not only the traditional election monitoring mission, but we have to deploy people as well as create something to monitor campaign expenditure also. That is the main thing. But before that, we are going to conduct a massive vote education process also. Now you know how to vote in parliamentary election, presidential election, but now almost forgotten how to vote in provincial local government elections. No,
that's the fault of the people who misused and abused their powers to postpone it.
Yes, definitely. Therefore, actually, we have to remind that, and also the importance of local government election, how to select a suitable candidate, and what is the roles and responsibilities of those 341 councils. That is important. Then actually that additionally to our usual observation process, we are going to launch a massive vote education campaign. Then we are expecting your, as a media, actually support also what you are giving right now.
Well, you know that our stations at MTV and MBC, we always support the democratic process. We have been doing so for over 30 years, and we will of course continue to do so. My thanks to Manjula Gajanayake, Executive Director of IRES. Thank you very much at very short notice for being here with us this evening. And my thanks to you at home for watching. Don't go away because the news is coming up next. Have a good evening.